Good afternoon. So we're back to answer some more questions about GLP-1 medications. First, I want to make a disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I am not giving out medical advice. I am merely going to give you my experience as well as some gathered statistics that I found in my research. Okay, so the question for today is, how much weight can I lose on a GLP-1? And the answer is, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on which medication you're using, whether it's tirzepatide or semaglutide. I use tirzepatide. I have used semaglutide. I did okay with it, but when I stopped, I didn't have a plan in place. I didn't do any kind of maintenance, and I really hadn't developed any healthy eating habits or really any type of physical activity, so I gained most of it back. Now, since I've been on tirzepatide with IVRX, it has been a much different scenario. My first week on tirzepatide, now tirzepatide works on 2 different receptors, whereas semaglutide works on 1. So let's start with that. It's a little sciencey. I'm not going to get into all those like sciencey details, but many people feel that tirzepatide does work better because it works on 2 different receptors, and it can be a little bit slower initially to work, which is good in a sense, because the slower you lose the weight, the more likely you're going to keep it off, especially if you start developing healthy eating habits. It doesn't mean you have to become a rabbit, right? You just start cutting out a lot of, like, say, fast foods and exchanging it for a grilled chicken breast or a roasted chicken breast or something like that, and some veggies. You don't have to give up carbs altogether or things of that nature, okay? You can still eat the things you like, but we have to eat in moderation. And I would highly recommend staying away from fast food just in general for many reasons. But let me give you some statistics first, and then I'm going to give you my experience. So in 72 weeks using tirzepatide, the average person lost between 20 and 22.5% of their total body weight. Using semaglutide in 68 weeks, they lost between 51 and 21% of their total body weight. So even, the sciencey stuff is saying basically that tirzepatide works better in the long run, okay? In my experience, like I said, the first week, starting, because you start on a low dose, of course, and you titrate up. I didn't notice a ton of appetite suppression initially, and I thought, this is going to eat garbage. This isn't going to help. But I did start losing, I think I lost like 1 to 2 pounds the first week, which I thought, oh, this isn't much, but it does progressively get better. And that's where my next little notes come in. So the average for month 1 is 5 to 10 pounds. Now, before you get excited, there are variables, and I'll get into that too. From months 3 to 6, most lose about 5 to 10% of their starting weight by month 3, and 10 to 15% by month 6. Now, that's percentages. Again, that's sciencey stuff, which is why I'm going to tell you my experience. The first 3 months, I lost quite a bit. I think I was averaging about 5 pounds-ish a week. And again, there are variables, and we'll get into that. And I'm almost at my goal weight now. I stepped on the scale yesterday and was absolutely shocked that I was 159. My goal weight is 155. So, yeah, I have been using tirzepatide with IV since, I don't remember if it was the end of October or if it was November, right off the top of my head. So I haven't been on it a terribly long time. And I'm still losing. I kind of need to slow down because I don't want to get underweight and, not feel well. And I have noticed, if I do not eat, and I do forget because I'm not hungry, I lose energy. I don't feel well. I'm crabby and irritable and just generally, sitting on my behind. So I'm, not doing anything really good for my body. So it says at 12 months plus, so 12 months and over, that's where typically people start to plateau, again with variables. It says you can lose from 50 to 100 pounds for those that are starting with a higher weight. So if your BMI is higher, for example, my weight was I'm 5'9". My weight was somewhere around 190, I think. So I didn't have like hundreds of pounds to lose, or even close to 100 pounds to lose. So mine was slower. Now, if you're in the, say, 80 to 100 range that you want to lose or more, you're going to lose it a lot faster. It's just, we're going to get into the variables now. Like I said, the higher your BMI is, the more you're going to lose from the first week to the year mark and even past. In addition, I noticed for myself, being a woman, hormones definitely make an impact on whether you lose weight slowly or, what's going to happen. Because if you are, say, perimenopausal or menopausal or postmenopausal, you might want to get that under control in addition to doing a GLP-1, because you'll find that you will lose much quicker, especially around the tummy area where us older folks tend to carry that pouch. Yeah. So yeah, it also depends on your lifestyle habits. So if you haven't 6-8 months started to develop a little bit better eating habits that are going to help sustain the weight loss later on, that can, be problematic for you. You also need, obviously, more activity. That doesn't mean you need to join a gym or you need to start working out like a mad woman, mad man, as the case may be. Honestly, I do a lot of walking around the house, and I'm ADHD, so I'm always running from one room to the next. So I get my steps in like that. So, okay, dosage consistency is also a big factor in how much you're going to lose and if you're going to keep it off. You want to make sure you are taking your shot every week. Don't miss weeks unless, of course, your doctor advises you to do something different. And again, in the IVRX portal, which is where you do a quiz, you will speak with a doctor, you write down your medical, enter your medical information. So you always have contact with a medical professional. So you're not just doing this blindly. They want to make sure people that are, say, having an ED, and I don't mean the men type of ED, a disorder of the eating type, are going on there to try to make themselves more thin when they don't need to be. And it's a very serious thing. So, yeah, you want to make sure your dosing is consistent. Now, there is a biological response that can affect whether one loses weight or whether they don't lose quite as much. And some of that is due to genetics or perhaps a metabolic condition. I'm thinking they may be talking about maybe Cushing's syndrome or something like that. Certain thyroid disorders. I have Hashimoto's, and it's not affecting me. It was affecting me before I started the tirzepatide. I couldn't lose weight to save my life. I don't think if I would be running marathons that I would have been losing weight, because my Hashimoto's and my hormones were just keeping the weight on and causing me to gain weight. Generally, I cook healthy, so I do have a sweet tooth, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, so those are my stats. Let's talk about real life stuff, because some of that's really kind of sciencey, and not everybody's gonna really grasp what that means when you're talking about percentages. So again, I already told you like kind of my experience with losing weight at starting around 190 and now being at 159. And I've told you some of my medical history with the Hashimoto's and that. It's it's variations. No one body is the same. And, that is going to make a world of difference. You might be getting older. You may have hormonal issues or something that's causing you to hold that weight. Whatever the case may be, diabetes, whatever, I don't know. If you are not one of those people, if you're someone who's struggled with your weight all your life, then this is really the perfect thing for you. This is probably the one thing that will work for you. But please keep in mind, this is not the only thing you should do, and it is not the answer per se. It's another tool to put in your toolbox, right? Like I already mentioned, you want to start developing healthy eating habits, even if it's just, say, cutting out Starbucks caramel macchiato in the largest size possible every day at Starbucks, or several times a day for that matter. Treating yourself once a month to one of those is perfectly okay. I do it. You don't have to deprive yourself, but you do have to make changes, because in order to sustain the weight loss, not only do you want to, get on a maintenance dose to where, your body's not like, okay, well, we don't have this drug in our body anymore, so let's gain it all back, right? We don't want to do that. Not to say that you have to be on this forever. That's not the case. That's why we developed, healthier eating habits and put more activity in our lives, right? And it may not be easy for you to do a lot of activities, period, let alone if you're very heavy. I know me, I have a lot of back injuries. It's hard. So you do what you can. Just move your body the best that you can when you start, and as you go along and you get thinner and you feel more energy, you might be able to do more things. Always check with your doctor though. Please check with your doctor or the doctor at IVRX before starting anything, the medications. Make sure you tell them what medications you're taking, all of that stuff. Be very honest, because it is your health, right? And check with your doctor before embarking on any physical activities that may not be good for an issue you may have, right? I was gonna do a short, but I really wanted to be thorough on this because so many people think it's just like a magic shot, right? And that you can just drop a ton of weight and there's, everybody's the same. And that's not the case. Thank you if you made it this far. Drop a heart in the comment section so I know that you've, watched and maybe I need to change something. Like and subscribe, please. I will also be doing not only this series on GLP-1s, frequently asked questions, but I also do beauty content, I do product reviews, and sometimes a little chit chat and a little gossip sprinkled in just for fun. So happy Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye.